the draft, the NFL draft. Terry, if you don't mind for a second, I want to lay this down because I think I got unfairly labeled as a quote draft hater. And look,
but
Iowa
you didn't care.
No, I didn't care. No, I didn't care.
Well, you about to do a soliloquy.
I am about to do a soliloquy. Okay. But here's the deal. Like the Iowa thing was cute and it was fun. And we laughed about it and I wore the shirt on Friday. This, however, what I'm about to say is separate from that. Here's the deal with it for me, Terry, because, and it all goes back to the Stoke not scared. And it all goes back to the betting favorite for the division. And it all goes back to 8% of every dollar bet on teams to win the Super Bowl is the Detroit Lions. We're in those waters now, Terry. Is that fair? I have to cross this. Is that fair?
No, that is fair.
That's fair.
You're dealing with a real organization, so yes.
That's fair.
That's
okay,
fair.
That's fair. My disappointment and, quote, disappointment about the Jalen Carter thing is not that the Lions did not take him. It's not that Brad Holmes did not take Jalen Carter. My disappointment in it is all those facts that I just brought up about the Lions and how they're perceived, how you perceive them. Season tickets are at an all-time high. We're ready to roll. We've talked about this time and time again. So we are in there. I perceive us to be, as Lions fans, in there. So if you're in there, teams like the Eagles, you're in the waters with them now. Terry, again, fair. We want what they have. We want what they have, right?
They're sharks.
And we think that we're on the path to get there, right?
You're on the path to get there, but I wouldn't say you're in the same neighborhood yet.
Okay. That's fine. Here's my issue with it, guys, and the whole Jalen Carter thing. And this is not a slight at Jahmyr Gibbs, because if you want to boil it down, I like the way they went about getting Jahmyr Gibbs. If that was their guy, why take him at 6 and pay him more when you can move back to 12 and get him more affordable? So I like that part of it. This is separate from that. The Jalen Carter thing for me is not that Brad Holmes did not take him. It's that the Eagles did take him. And guys, if you think about this, again, work backwards. The Philadelphia Eagles, they pushed all their chips in the middle of the table. They gave their quarterback $250 million. You look at the way they've assembled this team. They played in the Super Bowl last year. This is a cut and dry statement. If the Philadelphia Eagles do not win the Super Bowl next year, it is a failure, Terry. It is a failure to them as an organization. Everything is on the line. They got the number 10 overall pick. They traded up to 9. They did not hesitate for a second, Terry. They saw what they perceived to be an elite player in the draft that fell into their lap, and what they do, they went in on it. They didn't ask about character and those types of things. They moved, Terry, and they have, if anybody in the world has a reason to pass over somebody because of character, it's somebody that is 6 minutes away from a Super Bowl championship. They are, because that's what they are. We saw it play out that way. They didn't hesitate for a second, Terry. And again, guys, hold it. This isn't a slight on Gibbs or anything that they did, even the Iowa picks. It's not a slight on any of it. My only issue of it is they went in. They went all in, and they have everything in the world. And if you're in those waters, if you're Stoke not scared, and hey, we can win the Super Bowl and we can win the NFC, then I don't see how you cannot be concerned about those types of moves.
No, and you should be. Here's the other thing. We talk a lot about character, but in the NFL locker room, you need a few assholes. You need some guys you don't like. The media should go in and be afraid of some of the players in there because they might kick their ass or something one day, just get pissed off. Character is important, but in a league where you're trying to kill somebody on every play, you need some guys that are just –
You need killers.
Yeah, be killers. And you know what? If let's say you bring in Jalen Carter and he gets in trouble, guess what? The Lions have security guys that pick him up at the bar after he's beating somebody's ass. They scoop him up, dry him up.
The same way they do in Athens, Georgia.
Right. Yeah. Right. And then guess what? We don't even know about it. There's been rumors about so many players, and you check it out. No, that never happened. You know good and damn well it did. So that's why I wanted Jalen Carter, because, A, I think he can play, and, B, so he went drag racing. He's a good old boy from the South. That's what they do.
Yeah, and
so here's what you do, Neal. You don't allow him, you don't allow him at the White Castle on Livernois and Warren. You can't go there on a Friday night and drag race. That's all you do. That's the only parameter.
WoodwardSports.com chat thread, answer 14 says, Neal, are you trying to sell skepticism? No, this is what I'm paid to do, man. I'm telling you what my interpretation of it was. I don't not like the Gibbs pick. Okay? Like, both things can be true, guys. My only concern, I'm giving you my concern about it. My only concern is that the team with the most on the line, the Philadelphia Eagles, the most on the line, did not hesitate, did not worry about character or any of those things. And you guys, he says, D-Mac never spoke more truth. Screw what everybody else did. We did it right. The other teams need to get ready for us. Okay, and that's okay. So you're in then, right? You're in. Then I'm justified to feel the way that I feel, because I ask you guys this, and Terry, I'll ask you: are the Detroit Lions, if you're in these waters, if you're stoked, not scared, and we're going to win, and they got to be ready for us and everything like that, then I'll ask you the question: are the Detroit Lions closer to the Philadelphia Eagles today or further away than they were on Wednesday night?
I would say slightly further away.
Okay.
Just a little
that's
bit.
all I was looking for.
But I will say this. Were the Tampa Bay Lightning in the same waters as the Boston Bruins? No, but they beat them. All you need is that one day. And what the Lions need to worry about, you don't worry about Philadelphia. You worry about Minnesota. You worry about the Bears. You worry about the Packers. That is your neighborhood then. You dominate them, then you worry about the Philadelphia Eagles. And then you just need to be better than them on one afternoon. And that hopefully will be in the playoffs. So I'm not panicked that the Lions might be a smidge worse than the Eagles were.
And Terry, I'm not panicked either. And again, going back to it, Brad Holmes has earned that. And that is kind of the reset I had today when I had a weekend to take it all in, as opposed to Friday. I've told you guys this before. I'm a Brad Holmes simp, like all the way. He has not given us any reason to think that he cannot identify talent. I put that out there, no question about it. And WoodwardSports.com chat thread, Spam Sam says the Lions have a lot to lose as well. They went all in with their one-year deals, Neal. Again, it makes no sense. Tim France says, I have no choice but to be in. I'm fully committed, being hurt by the Lions. And I won't go that far. And here's where this all comes from, guys. All right? I think it's fair to have some questions about it, but it will play itself out because those guys are here and they're not going anywhere. But here's where I'm coming from with all this, Terry, is for the first time, sans one run in the early 90s, for the first time and the only time in my lifetime, I believe that there's a foundation to this football team that can be a contender, to do great things. So when I see all these moves being made around, and I look around and I take it all in, I guess really what I'm trying to say is we talk about this stoked, not scared, and I feel like Rocky right now. I'm afraid, all right? I'm afraid of losing what I got.
And you should be afraid.
I am afraid of losing what we got. I am. I'm being honest about it right now. I'm being passionate about it, and I'm opening my soul to you guys right now. I am afraid that we will get left behind. That's what I'm afraid of. I'm open and honest enough to talk about it and say it. Like, I'm not just going to hide behind it and say, well, this national pundit said it was a great draft. No, I have questions about it, Terry, and that's fair. And I'm giving you the reasons why. Because every step is going to be uncomfortable from here on out, right? Because it's new, uncharted territory for us.
But let me make you feel a little bit better. This is the best foundation the Lions have ever had under the Fords since 1957 when they won a championship. And I know the young people say, yeah, but you saw them in the 90s. They had Barry Sanders and they won a playoff game and everything. But here's what we saw behind the scenes. The players were blaming the coaches for when they screwed up. It was a team that would win 10 games one year, 5 the next, 10 again, and then 5 the next. There was no foundation because there wasn't even a belief in the locker room. A lot of those guys didn't really believe in the coaches. So at least now you have Dan Campbell, you have Brad Holmes, and the players and the coaches and the front office all believe in each other. Back in the 90s, that wasn't the case.
And Terry, that's where I am too, because when you boil this all down, I do believe in the management. I do believe in Brad Holmes. I do believe in the organization. My only concern, Terry, and yes, we've drilled down on this. It is a PTSD thing from the Randy Moss era.
Right.
When you pass on the best available talent, then you take a receiver in the second round named Jermaine Crowell. And that's years ago, and that is not this. I fully comprehend that. However, my main question again becomes, if a team, and people asked me this earlier in the woodwardsports.com chat thread, where was it at? Philip says, don't you think if Carter was the next Warren Sapp, Chicago would have taken him? But they were compensated to not take him. And the Bears needed offensive line help as well, which they still got. They got paid. This is another angle that I did like about what Brad Holmes did with the draft. He got compensated to take his guy that he wanted. I love that move, Terry.
Right.
That's something.
That's a chess move.
That's a chess move.
Right.
That's something that we have never seen in these parts before.
Mm-mm.
So Brad Holmes was cooking in that regard. I get it. The Bears did the same thing. And Philip, again, my response to that is the team with the most on the line, I would say the most on the line coming into the draft is the Eagles, right? Just gave their quarterback $250 million, came up 6 minutes short of the Super Bowl, and they didn't hesitate. They didn't worry about character. That's my concern coming out of this draft, and that'll be the thing. And look, I'll be hate watching it. I will. And anybody that says they won't, you will.
Oh, you know who's really pissed about that? Micah Parsons, Dallas Cowboys. He wishes the Lions had taken Jalen Carter because he came out and said, how did the Eagles get Jalen Carter? That's not fair. He was pissed. He said on his little podcast. So you even have players in the NFL saying, what the hell is going on here with the Eagles? Or Georgia North, or whatever you want to call them, Georgia of the Northeast. So a lot of players in the league believe this guy can play. And I wish he were here. But other than that, my other nickname for this draft is the fine wine draft. The longer it goes, the better it looks, the better it tastes.
And
once you get to digest what Brad Holmes was trying to do.
Right. And I have some thoughts about that as well, because when you look at this, especially, I feel like once you got past 18, 17, 18, didn't all the players seem pretty much the same?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't they, for real?
Right.
Didn't it seem thin this year? Why is that?
It just happens every year, every other year, whatever. But they're all fine players, but there's weren't a lot of superstars. That's why I'm saying, get a superstar, get a playmaker, get somebody that teams have to game plan for you. That's why we're down on J-Mo. I'm not down on him.
Nor am I. Not for a second.
Because he has the potential to be that guy where no matter what defenses do, he's still going to get his. All you got to do, stop clowning, stop being Jimmy the Greek, focus on football. Let's not, forget about the bottle service and going to Vegas and being cool. Be a professional. And once he does that, and one day it's going to happen, this guy's going to be somebody that other teams are like, oh, shoot, I don't want to deal with this brother.